Almanac of Rap show. I got opinions and they all factual. No news, just information that you won't be able to use unless you're at a dinner party trying to impress who's in attendance with endless tidbits of nonsense. We're gonna have a good time, I promise. YouTube rabbit holes, Reddit deep dives, pulling out old interviews from the archives. Styles, fads, trends, all of that. It's the Almanac of Rap.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Almanac of Rap Live. I'm your host, Donwill, and on today's show, I have a special guest. He went from Dobbs Ferry to becoming a global artist with a career unlike anybody else you can name. He's worked with several jazz luminaries, and we're gonna talk about his new project. We're gonna also talk about a couple of current events that are happening on, on the landscape of hip hop. Ladies and gentlemen, JSWISS.
Yes.
What's good,
My
man?
man. Pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
I'm happy to have you here, man. Ever since that night when I saw you with Carmen at Zoe's show, I'm like, JSWISS.
It was actually that night actually helped even some of this album come together.
Oh shit!
Too, ironically.
Oh wow. Okay,
yeah.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into it. But first, I want to talk about just the simplest of things, which is your name. Where does your name come from?
So I'm one of the rare MCs in history who has had the same name my entire life.
Oh shit.
I know a lot of MCs, they go through one really horrible name and they had to switch. But it's it's a nickname my friend gave to me when we were like 10 years old in 5th grade. I think he was remixing K-Swiss Shoes.
K-Swiss Shoes,
My name starts with a J. I'm like, what else are 10-year-olds thinking? It's not that deep. And when I started rapping like 2-3 years later as a hobby, I just stuck with it.
Like based on your track record, I was like, maybe it's like he was in Switzerland or some shit. I don't know, because he's everywhere, you know what I'm saying? But that's like somebody was like, it might be K-Swiss.
It's that simple.
And K-Swiss is one of those shoes, man. I grew up with K-Swiss, so that makes the name even more.
You know what's
fire.
crazy? I never wore K-Swiss.
So K-Swiss kind of, they were really popular.
Yeah.
But like I haven't seen people wearing them in a while. So you are officially, you took their market share.
I took boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Boom.
But also, it's JSWISS, all one word, capitalized.
All caps, no spaces.
So my apologies for
no, we
spelling your name.
we talked it out, and I know enough people put Donwill with the space
Yo.
in between. They got to get it together.
It drives me so crazy that I named my album Donwill, one word, no space, so people would not misspell my name.
I dropped an EP called All Caps, No Spaces. So
listen, man. I was like, I don't have the signature. Like, you know how Snoop Dogg has the names, like how the song that name checks you is like a standard where it's like, what's my mother effing name? That type.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it, so I just named the album after myself, after how to spell my name. So you're from Dobbs Ferry, right?
Yeah, Dobbs Ferry, New York, 914, Westchester County, because I know Dobbs Ferry is so small, people are not going to know Dobbs Ferry.
I had no idea what it was.
But Dobbs Ferry is close to Yonkers, Tarrytown, White Plains, like a 30-minute train ride into New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, suburban New York, though, outside the city, for sure.
So I know Yonkers has DMX and Mary J.
Yeah.
Does Dobbs Ferry have anybody?
Dobbs Ferry has me.
Exactly. That's what I was
Especially
getting
if you're talking about hip hop, Dobbs Ferry has
That's
me.
what I was
Dobbs
getting
Ferry
at. You know what I'm
has
saying?
me.
Dobbs Ferry is
But
on. You know what
ironically, so DMX actually, he was in that area.
Okay.
Too, like Dobbs Ferry, Hastings, and there's this, it's like a residential treatment center called Children's Village for youth who had difficult family situations. That's in Dobbs Ferry, actually like a couple minutes away from the elementary school.
So,
and DMX went there.
So a related question, is there like there's a scene in every neighborhood. There's like places people gather and perform and like do congregate. Is there like a thing in Dobbs Ferry, like a little hip hop scene?
Definitely not a hip hop
Okay.
scene, and it's tough.
Music scene.
Like in that area, it's kind of like maybe you'll get your bars, kind of singer-songwriter things, or like really super traditional jazz, like straight ahead, jazz. So I thought I was gonna wind up performing in Madison Square Garden before I performed in Westchester because there was like no hybrid place or even like size-wise. It was kind of like the county center, which is like a few thousand people, and then like kind of nothing else outside. But I did an outdoor performance. It's a jazz outdoor festival that typically does your slow, kind of, traditional jazz,
waltz,
but they finally said, let's do something different. And so a couple summers ago I performed there, and that was my first time ever performing in Westchester.
Man, you be with the jazz cats.
We're
gonna get into it.
We're gonna get into it, yeah.
But one of the topics I want to talk about with you is actually live music and performing with a band.
Yeah.
The Locks did Tiny Desk.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge Locks fan.
Yeah.
Shouts to Yonkers. They're from Yonkers too.
914. They from Yonkers. Yeah.
So I didn't even know.
It's
I didn't
perfect.
Even
That's
look at
why.
that synergy.
Yeah.
But like seeing them on Tiny Desk, I've always appreciated them. I've appreciated every iteration. Seeing them on Tiny Desk just felt like them winning an award in a weird way.
Oh,
for me.
dope. Yeah, like a victory lap.
Yeah, like I mean, I've seen them with like live instruments and live bands, but just seeing them in that context. Like, what did for you? Did you enjoy that performance, or do you have any other favorite Tiny Desks?
One of my favorite things about that performance was the way Jadakiss enjoyed and delivered his ad-libs.
Yeah.
It was like I just feel like it's the underrated thing about really talented MCs and wordsmiths that could also deliver the right ad-libs at the right moments.
Yeah.
Like you hear Kendrick do it sometimes, like on J-Rock when he's just in the back like doing the ad-libs.
Yep.
And like Jadakiss, he was just like, he was so comfortable and confident in his emceeing that he could be like, yo, I'm just gonna play the role, Sheik spitting, I'm gonna hit him with the ad-libs. So I love that. I love seeing cartoons and Daru Jones and Kiefer, who I've all done stuff with. So, you know, Cartoons was the bassist, he was the MD of the show.
Yep.
He's on the new album. You Never Really Know that I got coming out. Daru Jones, the drummer, is a homie. I played with him, had him on the tracks as well. Kiefer, I did something with him and Cartoons and Nate Smith earlier this year. So it's like, that's my wheelhouse right there. That's my world.
So getting a little bit deeper into it, like being that you've worked with all of those jazz musicians and several more, like what's one of the key differences for you in working with live musicians versus just like a DJ or a producer or?
Yeah, you could stretch out and make the experience completely new.
Yeah.
And it's dynamic. You know, I've worked with live musicians enough that I've learned kind of how to play off what they're doing the same way that they could play off what I'm doing, and it's new every time.
So the thing that I always say is like, I work in the comedy world a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing about live comedy performance versus live hip hop performance a lot of times is that in comedy they can take a premise or a joke and adapt it to the room, expand it, condense it, whatever. With rap, if your Serato track is 3 minutes, you rapping those 3 minutes. You're doing those 3 verses. But so with jazz and with not jazz, with live instruments in general, you're able to kind of like do that same stretching out, condensing. It gives you a different sort of texture to the song.
Yeah, and if you catch something one of your bandmates is doing, you could play off that. If you catch something the audience is doing, if they catch something in your voice, it just moves. It's life. It's a living organism.
Exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
Do you so you've worked with people like Nicolas Payton, Elvis Costello, Casey Benjamin, rest in peace. Keyon, Harrold, Marcus Machado. But my question is, do you have a DJ? Do you have just a DJ show that you do?
I do that sometimes as well. And then even sometimes I do DJ and kind of hybrid. Maybe I have some keys or bass with it. Last time I did a show with DJ, I did with Vicky Cassis, very dope, producer and DJ. Also a sibling of Marcus Machado, who you mentioned. And so she's got a beat that she produced on the album as well. And we did a show at LPR, opening for a homie Anna Tiju. And so she was DJing, and so I could rock the crowd, like, you know, that's traditional. That's the foundation. You got to be able to do that too. But
so like, how did you find yourself in this world of jazz luminaries in the way that you have? Like, it's just fascinating.
Man, it's been a slow build. I mean, it started just from what I was listening to growing up. Shout out to my dad. You know, he had the different jazz and hip hop records, and your roots and Tribe Called Quest with Soul Live and Jamiroquai and Brand New Heavies. It's like that whole mix. So I had it in me.
Dad had some good music.
For sure. So I had it in me. But, you know, I think when I graduated college in 2013 in North Carolina and came back to New York, that's when I kind of started getting plugged into the live music scene here in New York. There was this jam session called the Playground Sessions. This group, Tiger Speak. They had this jam session at Williamsburg Music Center.
What year was this?
This would have been like late 2013, early 2014.
Okay,
and that's when I really started getting plugged into the live scene here. And I would do one thing with one band, and that would introduce me to other people. I had to shout out to Blue Note, because once I started doing Blue Note there, that introduced me to a lot of people. Like, I would do something with, say, like a Chris Dave at Blue Note, and then like Nicolas Payton would see me, and I started working with Nicolas Payton, and that kind of became a breeding ground for this too.
So I won't say unlike a lot of other people, but it sounds like your story is that you were you were like a outside working musician, like a trumpet player or like a keyboard.
It's a similar, yeah.
And you were also doing music in the studio, but a lot
Yeah.
of your stuff, you were like also had this vibrant live performance.
Exactly,
thing that
exactly.
people could call you and come. Man, that's so dope.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, us as rappers, we tend to be more in the studio
Yeah.
than at the open mics or at the things
That's true.
performing. You know what I'm saying?
But I like to do both. Yeah.
But so taking it back to Tiny Desk for a second. Oh, before we go back, So you worked with Michael
Leonhart.
Leonard.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Man, so how we connected, it would have been 2019, several
Okay.
months before the pandemic, and I get a message from one of my musician friends like, hey, this guy Michael Leonhart is gonna hit you up. He's got this orchestra thing he does at this venue, Jazz Standard, every month. He's looking for an MC to fit in where they're doing some like hip hop sample jazz records with the big, 15, 20 piece band.
Oh man.
And like he was asking around for MCs and the name JSWISS kept coming back. So Michael hit me up, naturally.
Bells, you know what I'm saying?
So he hit me up. I looked at what he was doing and it was like amazing. It wasn't corny, because you're like, okay, we're gonna do this live band hip hop thing and see how it is. It was tight. The first things we did Electric Relaxation and a song Untouchables from Eric B. and Rakim that samples a Quincy Jones record or Herbie Hancock record, one of the two. And man, like from the first rehearsal right before the show, like knocked it out the park. Like it was tight, it was dynamic. He was like, I'm doing the orchestra hip hop thing, but I want it to hit like a hip hop record. Like he got it. Like he comes from that era. And so we started doing like one show at the Jazz Standard, 2, 3, 4, 5, did something that was on NPR, WBGO. And then right before the pandemic, he was like, I make beats too. Let's make some original music. And I was like, let's see what the trumpet orchestra guy has with the with the hip hop production. But it was like amazing. Some of my favorite records of my career have come out of that. Like so, yeah. And we put out a whole album, Bonafide.
That's
and that's like my brother now. Yeah.
Yeah, it got critical acclaim. Too.
Yeah, for
You know
sure,
what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
You got a crazy discography, crazy catalog,
Yeah,
man.
man.
All right, so the next topic. Oh, before we move to the next topic, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you, do you have any favorite Tiny Desks performances? Are there any more that stand out aside from the locks?
Oh man, I mean like everybody Anderson .Paak stands out. It was just like he's just so comfortable in it. I think that's the perfect feel because sometimes people will take like the Tiny Desk and try to recreate exactly their stage show.
Right.
But I feel like his was the perfect blend of let's take what we normally do live, but let's really feel like we comfortable in somebody's living room or desk. And it felt like that.
I think that's the cool thing about Tiny Desk is that you kind of got to know how to work the desk.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a unique space to perform in.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite Tiny Desk at the moment.
Okay.
Because I love a lot of them. They're doing
Yeah.
amazing programming. Shout out to I forget the DJ's name that does it.
Oh, you saw Cousin B?
Cousin B. Shouts to Cousin B.
Yeah.
SWV, man.
Okay, I actually
SWV
haven't seen that yet.
Dog.
It's like that.
I don't know if you're an SWV fan like that, but man, like
It's
SWV,
like that, okay.
It's just a master class in how to fit so much of your catalog and the hits that people know into performance, and also how to perform as a 3-person act.
Dope.
It's a really
Dope.
I highly recommend.
I gotta
that
check.
one.
One of my favorite recent ones too is I gotta shout out Julius Rodriguez.
Oh, I didn't check that one.
Pianist, also from 914. Actually,
Okay.
he didn't grow up
Dobbs
in
Ferry.
He
in the
didn't,
mother-
he didn't grow up in Dobbs Ferry, but he's several years younger than me, and he actually went to a school, a master's school that's like right down the block from where my parents still live, where I
Okay.
grew up. So he's right in that area. But phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah. But yo, if you're in the chat comments, please let us know what your favorite Tiny Desk performance is. I know it's gonna be a lot of people that say Usher.
Oh yeah.
Usher had like the classic. He had a run.
Watch this.
Usher killed it, man. Like I'm a big Usher fan too. Yeah, that one. But so moving to the next topic. I don't know if you know, but the rap beef is over now. Pretty much. Kendrick Lamar.
I'm glad to move on from that.
Yeah. I'm glad to move on from it too. Kendrick Lamar moved, but now the beef has moved to journalism. And without covering the entire scope of that story, I'll just say that Nardwuar caught a few strays in the beef. Nardwuar, man. We got to give some flowers to the OG Nardwuar. I think as an artist myself, and you can let me know, like being interviewed by Nardwuar is like a watermark achievement.
Yeah. And
like,
you you got to have your mind blown by what he's gonna pull out.
Yeah, that's kind of it's like David Blaine of Interview.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
he's gonna come through and pull like your grandma out his pocket and be
Yeah,
like
your
your grandmother. Like, and that's the reason why his interviews are so much fun, because you watch them to see people react to them.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what like will be a thing, 2 or 3 things preferably, but what's a thing Nardwuar would like pull out about you that he would be like, JSWISS, here's a K-Swiss with your face on it.
So the physical thing, I've actually thought about this before. The physical thing I think he would pull out would probably be a CD of the Spiritual Airs of Columbia, South Carolina. I forgot the year, but it'll probably be a vinyl of that.
What is that?
And that is a group that my grandfather on my dad's side sing in.
Oh, wow.
Before my dad was, by the time my dad was born, his music career was kind of past, but he was in this gospel group, touring group, like doing the circuit from Columbia, South Carolina. And so it was a time where Sam Cooke, before he went solo, he was in another one of those groups, so they were kind of touring the same circuit and everything. And I remember maybe like 5-10 years ago, I finally started digging back and found the YouTube, audio clip of that. So I feel like he would pull that out and be like, how did you find that?
That's 100% a piece of vinyl he would pull out, and you'll be like, what? Like, they don't even make these anymore. I made it for you.
Yeah. So that would probably be the thing that he would bring out. And then the thing that he would bring up, not out physically, would probably be, I think, the first rap I ever recorded, which was a tribute to Dwayne Wade over Lil Wayne's Kobe Bryant song.
Wait.
That was like one of the first things I can remember ever recording.
A rap tribute to Dwayne Wade over Lil Wayne's Kobe Bryant. I don't know Lil Wayne's Kobe Bryant one.
Yeah, and I feel like for people that know the type of rap that I do, they'd probably be surprised that like, oh shoot, one of the first things he wrote was over some like Lil Wayne track.
Yeah.
But I'm like a huge Allen Iverson and Dwayne Wade, big fans of mine. I have a number 3 tattoo for the two of them. And I remember I was young, I was still shy. I didn't really have a recording set up, so I put up the instrumental and I was recording on my laptop speakers all quiet so nobody could hear me like, I'm Dwayne Wade. So I feel like Nardwuar would be like, I pulled it out, like, oh, like that would be another thing that he would pull up,
So are you a fan of basketball players that rap? Ball players that rap?
Ironically, one of my first favorite hip hop songs ever was Fushnikin's What's Up Doc featuring Shaq.
Yeah.
Like when I was young, that was one of my favorites.
So in doing this show, and even before the show, I'm just kind of like a curious person. I'm not a huge sports fan.
Okay.
I'm a pop culture fan, so I know sports through the lens of pop culture. But I'm a huge music fan.
Yeah.
Hip hop specifically. I found out that Shaq was the person that signed Peter Guns and the Uptown Baby song. Peter Guns.
Oh wow.
I forget the name.
Yeah, Lord Tariq.
Lord Tariq.
Yeah.
And he the album, he put out an album that had like Nas and Jay-Z on it and Lord Tariq. It's like he has like a crazy.
Speaking of which, did you know that John Sally signed Jay Dilla to I think his first ever record contract?
I'm glitching out. Like it's the blue screen of death right happening.
Yeah.
Like I
John Sally.
The word you just said a sentence and like my mind is like these don't belong together.
I can't remember if it was Slum Village as a whole or it was just Jay Dilla. Wow. But I think it was like first record deal ever was John Sally. He was active in the music community in Detroit. Yeah.
But I know that KD is he raps.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
Raps. There's one I think it is him. There's somebody else. I think he's in Portland. Who bars out?
Oh, Dame Lillard.
Dame Dollar. Oh my God. Oh
he
God.
He could spit.
Nah, Dame spits to the point where like I just like him as a rapper. I don't even know basketball like that. I'm like, this dude's just nice.
Yeah.
And I heard Flau'jae raps too. I've been really digging in the crates, so to speak. These are like athletes that rap, but it's a whole world out there, man.
It is.
And I don't think people should be shocked that you rapped over Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying?
Like, you never.
Rap,
I mean, I'm New York MC and kind of
it,
type of thing, but that was one of the first things.
But so in kind of closing out this topic, the question that I have is, the Big Three has been debated and talked about forever. The Big Three was like the current Big Three is Kenny, Cole, Drake. But before it was Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas. Jay-Z's made the Big Three.
Okay,
in my opinion. If you had to name a Big Three without naming those 6 people, who would be in your Big Three?
Oh man.
Of any, let's just say hip hop. I was gonna say of anything.
Oh, man.
No, let's make it fun. Big three of jazz. No.
Oh, the big three. Man, my big three right now is me, JSWISS, Little Sims, and Saba. That's the three I'm gonna name today.
That's a fire track.
That is.
That's a fire. So is that happening? No, I'm just
It might
Listen,
soon.
man.
Soon. We put it might, maybe within the next year, who knows?
yeah, that's fire.
Yeah.
Okay. New big three.
New big three.
JSWISS, Lil Sims, and Saba.
Boom.
We minted it. So if any of you in the comments have a big three, let me know. Like, just name your big three. And you can't name J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick, Nas, Jay, or Biggie. I mean, big three. There's several big threes. It's like the multiverse.
Yeah,
of big
yeah,
three,
yeah,
you
for
know what
sure.
I'm saying? But okay, the last topic I want to talk about is you.
Yeah.
And your album and what
Yeah.
you have going on. So this new album, you never really know. Like, tell me about
Yeah,
it.
you never really know. You never really know when your last day is gonna be. You never really know what somebody else is going through. So live with empathy, live in the present, have faith. As I say on the album, you got everything you need.
God damn.
Go get everything you want.
This needs to be like my fucking mantra. This needs to be like a mantra for me. I need to just listen to you say this.
And the same thing, and that's why I repeat like some of those things so much on the album, because I'm saying it to the listener, but I'm saying it to myself. And you hear that from like the top to the bottom, like the urgency.
I know
with
you
which I'm
start
saying
the
it.
album with like, you got everything you want, go get everything you need, and then you close the album with,
reverse it. Yeah, you got everything you need, go get everything you want.
Yeah, and like, but the beginning of it, of the one at the beginning of the album is a little bit less aggressive than the one at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what was the shift in the energy that happened
So
from
the
beginning to end of the album?
Yeah, so the end of it is really like, it's like a plea, like please get it. And that's why you hear the first version, it's, it's a little more fun. It's got the bump, the 808s.
And
it's got a verse in it as well. And
even how I'm sorry, not to interrupt
Yeah,
you.
no, go
even
ahead.
how the album flows, like energetically, it like goes from like kind of like more upbeat up to more like,
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then it was really cool how it came about. We were just doing the first, shout out to Paul Bloom, who's a producer. He produced a lot of the album. And so we were working on that intro track, which is Everything You Need. And he was doing some piano touches to it. And I thought as he was doing that, because we really sat down and like crafted in person, these songs. I was like, what if we made a version that was just the piano?
Yeah.
And so we started out doing it where it was the whole verse again. And he was like, no, cut out the verse and just do the hook. And so just repeating it over and over and over again and allowing my voice to crack. Like we did like 6, 7 takes, and each one it was just like, just commit to it more and more, get the tears coming out.
Yeah.
And that was like a phrase that I was telling myself even before any instrumental. I was like, I need to make a song around this. And it's kind of like the album's programming, I say. Like when you hear it, you'll hear the snaps. It's kind of like basically hypnotizing you, like, snap, you got everything you need, go get everything you want.
Like, it's almost like a reminder to live in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like, take advantage of the moment.
Exactly.
And you said Paul Bloom is the guy who you work with.
Paul Bloom.
I actually had his name was written down as a question. Like, what was his role? Like, who is Paul Bloom and what was his role in helping you craft the album?
Man.
He's like a co-pilot, producer.
Yeah, co-pilot, a friend. We have an actual like friendship relationship, which is really important too, because it's a JSWISS solo album, but he cared about putting together this project as much as I did, too. And we've worked on, we've been working together for 5, 6 years, but just in the process of the 3+ years of working on this album, we probably got together, sat down in his living room and made ideas from scratch like 40, 50, 60 times, scrapped a few dozen ideas. And working with him, even though he didn't produce everything, it really set the foundation of what the vision for what this album was gonna sound like. And then to build off of that. Yeah.
Oh, so this album was started in the pandemic, or
this album was like the first song that we the first getting together for this album would have been early 2021.
Yeah, because I know that there are some aspects that deal with a little bit of loss.
Yeah.
And like you could hear, it has its fun light moments.
Yeah.
But it also has its like the gravity to it.
Exactly.
Where you kind of realize like, oh, it's not all fun. It's
And
not
that's life. That's like, you got to
exactly.
have the fun in it as well. But the loss wasn't even necessarily pandemic related. I just, for the majority of my life, I was super lucky to not lose like anybody I love, family, until like 2018. I pretty much lost like nobody. And then from 2018 up until a few months ago, I lost like all of the loss that I've experienced in my life has happened. And so a lot of that is since the last album I put out. So I couldn't help but have that, talking about friends, like shout out to my homie Rowdy, my brother who I went to college with, incredible MC who passed away unexpectedly a few months ago. Casey Benjamin, who you mentioned, who I've known for 2/3 of my life, unexpectedly passed.
Yep.
3 of my grandparents passed between 2018 and 2022. And so there's all this loss. My cousin, I talk about my cousin, my grandmother, losing them on the song The Half. So it's a lot of loss, it's real.
Yeah, and like I think that recording it and documenting it in that way for other people to kind of like, to help other people and help yourself through it is one of the best ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I did the same thing when I lost my father many years ago. It's like I was in the middle of working on an album and just kind of, it became a theme of the album.
Yeah.
But to kind of take it to a slightly lighter tone.
Yeah.
My favorite joints from the album are Out of Bounds, Make Space, and For Your Consideration. Those are the 3 that I was just like, if I got to pick 3 to put in my Serato, they're going in there.
And that's in like the first 40% of the album, so I love that.
Yeah, but like again, like when I'm pulling pieces of an album apart, which is, I don't really like to pull albums apart because I like to listen to the whole sequence. Yeah. But those were the songs that I was like specifically like, okay, I could put this in a DJ set.
Dope.
But the album is one that I can sit and listen to as well.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of weird to ask you what your favorite songs on your album are, but what are the songs that you feel like, if a person was like, what's one song I need, that's not the single, what's one song I should listen to off your album? What would you recommend?
Well, I love Out of Bounds, the first one that you said is one, and that's why I put it so high on the album. You kind of have everything you need is like the intro, but Out of Bounds is like, okay, the album is like going now. Yeah. And I love the energy, I love the feel. It's funny, I started making that with Sly Fifth Ave, excuse me.
Shouts to Sly Fifth
Ave. We have a project called Somebody's Gotta Do It that came out in 2022, and I actually went down to Mexico City last year, and we're knocking out a bunch of joints, and that was when I was like, I need this for my album. And what's really dope is, Sly is on it, Michael Leonhart, who I have an album with, like, he's on it, he added some touches, and then Paul Bloom, who produced a lot of this, he's on it too. So it's like all of my heaviest collaborators recently are on that track, so I love that, and the energy, you can dance to it, it's fire.
Yep. You said Mexico City and you threw me for a loop, and I just want to talk to you about Mexico City now.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the, man, oh my God, I went for the first time in New Year's this year. Oh my God, whatever. We'll talk about that later. But and continuing to talk about some of the guests, I know that Carmen Rodgers, and Eric Roberson. Who else you have on the album?
Yeah, so Carmen Rodgers, Eric Roberson, Marcus Machado, Demi Grace. I got Paul Papa Bear Johnson playing some bass. Yeah. Shout out to BD3, who's the only other MC. I don't have a lot of MC features on my stuff. Trusted him. Aaron Maya, dope vocalist. Cartoons, who's producing the song with Carmen Rodgers, For Your Consideration. So there's a lot of dope people on there.
We got to take a second to talk about Carmen.
Yeah.
Our
she's
dear
incredible.
friend Carmen.
Yeah.
Tell me about that collaboration. And I know you said earlier that that moment at, when I saw y'all at Cafe One was kind of instrumental in finishing the album.
Yeah. So first, obviously, Carmen is an amazing vocalist, singer, songwriter, too. And I've known her probably like 7, 8, 9 years now, never collaborated, but the night we met, I had run into Carmen for the first time in probably a few years I had seen her. Okay. And that same day, Cartoons, I think, had sent me that instrumental for Your Consideration that same day. So it was like we had, me, Cartoons, Nate Smith, and Kiefer, we had performed a show at Blue Note maybe like a week or two before that. Yeah. Talked to Cartoons, we need to do something for the album, because I'm gonna get some stuff together. He sends me that instrumental, it's marinating. I run into Carmen at the show, we're talking about like, let's work together on something, and a couple of days later, I'm like, I meet Donwill at the show. Yeah. And a couple of days later, I'm sitting with the Cartoons instrumental, I'm getting some ideas, and I was like, oh shoot, I just ran into Carmen on the day I got this could be like a dope vibe. And so she was like perfect for it. And one of the most underrated things about her, and I told her, is just like her like rhythmic sensibilities and placement and pocket is kind of like an MC. Yeah. Like a lot of singers can be really dope, melodically and everything, but the way she fits, even like little ad libs, as I was going through the tracks, I was like, oh, she feels it like an MC would feel it, know?
Yeah, she understands music in a different way. Yeah, she knows the vibe as an MC. Yeah. But so, I was wondering if you wanted to spit anything from the album, like acapella.
Oh, we can spit that. What camera am I spinning? I spin it to you.
What camera are we?
We're gonna spit right here. All right. Lights, camera, action. No, life don't go in that fashion. So prove but it all happens slow motion. Better go practice, bro. I found the answer in the soul like Reeboks. Meteoric rise that I'm bringing the heat rocks. Way before I leave in the sky like treetops. May what I spit unlock each lock. In the mind, in the time, when I might feel that I'm in a bond, and I might feel a rhyme on a dime. Write it out, get it out, let it shine. Touch the sky, who am I? Watch me live, that's my reply. So much evil get justified. Truth burns slow and they rush the lie, that's why I know. Whatever happens, I imagine I just got to slow down.
Yo,
My man.
the answer's in the soul like Reeboks.
The answer's in the soul. I told you I'm an Irish.
Yeah. That's it, man. Like and also the thing about hearing you do acapella, like it really enhanced the pockets. Like I got to hear the pockets.
Yeah.
Man, it's such a fun thing to listen to. Like I
love it.
solo acapellas. That was fun. But
Yeah.
all right, before we get out of here, I got to ask you for some advice.
Yeah.
I ask all my guests for a little bit of advice specific to them. So for
Yeah.
you, I want to know, do you have any advice for anybody traveling? Like I know you get around the world, you go see
Yeah.
things. Like what's your advice for a person visiting a city for like a very short period of time?
Yeah. So I'm as much as I've been around the world in the past few years, I'm somewhat new to the travel game.
Okay.
But the little advice that I do have is, one, time your sleep properly. You know, I've been able to get over to Europe, and I love you get that right pocket where you get an overnight flight, where you get your 6-7 hours in on the flight, and then you land and it's morning when you land and it's perfect. When you could time those things right, that's a big thing. And then as much as you possibly can, like try to experience the city as a real person would. Find out a restaurant, a spot, a park, where real actual people go. I've been trying to, as much as possible, ride bikes in new cities that I go to. Just experience that way. Sometimes it's a rush or on a time crunch. If you would even take like 2 hours to visit someplace, that would be my advice. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, the advice is get some rest and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. You know what I would say? Take an instant camera as well. Like I've been really like the past 3-4 years, I got a Fujifilm Instax camera.
Yeah.
And so it's the instant. So you're not always in your phone. You're like, I'm experiencing this moment. I take one good photo of that moment and keep it moving. Keep it in a physical photo album, as ancient as those are. Like I have one of those.
Yeah.
So that's like a big thing. If you could take that and capture those moments as you drive around and you're flying around.
Dope. 3
Definitely.
fire tips
Yeah.
from a fire artist you never really know is coming out when?
You Never Really Know is dropping on September 13th on Bandcamp. It'll get on streaming eventually, but the main drop date, September 13th. You never really know.
All right, and make sure if you're in the comments, make sure to drop a line to like what cities to visit, what to do in the cities you visit, what restaurants to go to, because this guy's gonna be in your city pretty soon performing.
Yeah.
JSWISS.
I do.
Thank you so much
Donwill.
for stopping by.
Yes, sir.
It's the Almanac of Rap show. I got opinions and they all factual. No news, just information that you won't be able to use unless you're at a dinner party trying to impress who's in attendance with endless tidbits of nonsense. We're gonna have a good time, I promise. YouTube rabbit holes, Reddit deep dives, pulling out old interviews from the archives. Styles, fads, trends, all